How do you pronounce your name, Keishla?
Keishla Delgado.
Do you have like a preferred name or nickname or anything like that?
No, just Keishla. Keishla's fine.
Okay, so today we're gonna start off with just since it's our first session together, we're just gonna start off with some intake information just so that I can get to know you a little bit better, your background, and see, how I can support you moving forward.
Okay.
So, um, you said your name is Keishla. Do you have any your pronouns?
She, her.
And how old are you?
I'm 28. Forgot my age for a second.
28, okay. And what's your current employment status?
At the moment, I'm actually not working. I'm just going to school.
Okay, so just so my role here is to help support you. And we want to kind of explore uh, what your career interests are. We're going to look at your strengths, maybe work on some goals and see, how I can help support those
Hmm.
goals. So we'll just work together to identify the next steps to feel that, you know, to have that achieve something that's meaningful and achieving to you in a career.
Okay.
Um, so I'm wondering, uh, what brings you in today?
Um, Basically, I needed to talk through career, career options. Right now I'm studying fashion design, but I feel like I've been kind of like doubting it because it's very it's very labor intensive, and going to the classes I just feel like I haven't been feeling as passionate about it, to the point where I guess I'm starting to question if I want to do this long term. I feel like I love it, but I don't know if I'm starting to think that I love it more as a hobby than I do as a career, or as like a side career, but not as my main goal in life. So I kind of just wanna, I don't know, talk about it, figure it out, what some options that are good for me are, or like how to really decide what I want for my future.
So what about fashion design did spark your interest in the beginning of that journey?
I mean, I think mainly it's creativity. I've always been a really creative person. I love anything that like I can create myself, and just express like whatever's in my head. So I've always been, I lean towards creative jobs. So I know that that's what I want to do. And I honestly, since I was like little, I've always been into fashion. So I think that's the reason why. It's just, like I said, it's just very, I feel like I just personally don't feel that passionate about it now, with like all of the work that I know that it takes for it. But yeah, I think that's the main thing that like brought me into it. I just love being creative.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that like you like having jobs that explore that creativity, but fashion design is the work doesn't seem as creative as you would like to be, or it's not worth it to you.
It At the moment I feel like my soul is not into it. I guess that's the best way to say it. So I feel like it's not as rewarding when I'm doing the classes, or I don't see it as something that I'm passionate enough about to do for the rest of my life. And like specifically fashion is a very competitive field. So I feel like you have to be very passionate about it to fight for your position, your role in a job, to really want to find something that's good for you. And I feel like if I'm barely in school for it, if I'm not feeling passionate about it, there's no way that I feel like I can really fight for the role that I would be happy in the job, compared to other people who are really passionate about it.
No, yeah, definitely. And um let's dial back a little bit to your work history. Um what kind of jobs did you have before in the past? Um, before
Uh,
or during
mhm.
the you going to school?
Yeah. Mainly customer service jobs. So I've worked at like Party City. I've worked at like fashion companies, so like Express. I've worked at a bakery shop. So mainly anything that has to do with customer service.
Hmm.
This wasn't technically a job, but I did have a job in or I had like a, what do you call it? Like in school as like credit, I was like an office assistant. I did actually find that very, I did like it. I like the idea of like being organized and having like a schedule and having like a format or whatever to follow every day. But yeah, customer service is the main jobs that I've done.
Okay. And how is there anything about those jobs that you do enjoy doing?
Um, I don't know if I love doing those jobs. I mean, it does feel nice when you get to help certain people when they're looking for something, and I do like the idea of helping people. But I will say because those jobs are so repetitive, and it's always you clock in and you basically do the same thing. That part I don't like. Like the office job, I know that I say structure, but I feel like it's more about like it's a more calming job, But the other job, like, if you're going into Express, it's the same thing. It's you ring people up or you fold clothes. So I think I don't really love those jobs because I do get bored after a certain amount of time because there's no change in like your project almost, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm hearing is um like you do or value like organization and being able to have some structure with the fact that, you know, with being able to have still that creative side of doing something different every day or being
Hmm.
able to have
Yeah.
projects. Um,
Yeah.
and so in fashion design, I'm wondering what obviously you got drawn to that, right?
Hmm.
Um, is there anything in particular in fashion design that calls to you more than because it's a broad spectrum, right?
Hmm.
You could go into a lot of different fields.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that like calls to you, uh,
Hmm.
like a job that calls to you in that line of work?
Um, I mean, the thing that I do love about fashion design specifically is like being able to have an image in your head and being able to create what you want and make it very specific to who you are, you know? So I do love that. One thing that I have been little like looking at a little bit is interior design. I just feel like the only thing is that I don't feel very confident because I mean, I've always lived in an apartment and I've never really had my own room. So I've never really been able to like dabble with decorating or creating any like a home of my own. So I feel sometimes like I'm like, am I capable of actually doing something like that? But interior design does sometimes grab my attention. That's like another creative field that grabs my attention just because I feel like the more research I've been doing about it, there's a little bit of like, you have a project but you get to get creative with it. So it's like they give you a due date, they give you this or whatever. It feels more stable, but then still feels creative. So
Yeah.
that's the only reason why. But then I just don't know if I'm capable of it. I guess a part of me has like self doubt about that.
Okay, so let's talk about that really quick. So
Hmm.
what self-doubt, like when those thoughts come about
Hmm.
possibly dabbling in that career,
Hmm.
self-doubts, do pop up in your head? Like what feelings come up?
I think there's two different ones. I think one is the fact that I feel like I learned I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I always feel like I never do anything perfect, the way that I want to. Like, I don't do it well enough. So I'm like, oh, I'm sure there's people who are way better than me. And then I think the other aspect is, I think also, too, the fact that I've wanted to do fashion design for so many years. And then all of a sudden now I change my mind. I guess for me, I'm just like, oh, what about if this is just the same thing? Like, I'm I'm obsessed with the idea of it right now, but then am I gonna waste, 3 years, 4 years, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. So I think a part of me, I have self doubt that I know what I want
Mhm.
because I was so set on doing fashion design that like I almost don't trust myself. And then also too, I guess I have a little bit of self doubt of feeling like, oh, I don't think I'd be good enough for it because I think that there are people who are more talented than me.
Do you think that those really are the indicators of like stopping you from trying this
Yeah,
career?
I think that's it. Just scares me to waste more time because that's one thing I within like my age and stuff like that, I want to already, have the life that I want, but I know that it takes time and I don't want to waste more time and then be, 30 something and then be like, oh, I still don't have the career that I want.
Well, I mean, from what you're expressing to me, it looks like you really are craving a somewhat stable but creative job, right? And whether you go into fashion design or interior design or maybe even something different, I think it's uh, I think those are some of your values that you look at, and you know, challenging those barriers that you have, which is the self-doubt. I heard not good enough, a waste of time, like trying to basically challenge those negative self-talk. I think it's important that we work on that together because regardless of whatever career you pick, um, it's hard to do it when we're talking down on ourselves, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to get there sometimes when we are, you know, basically putting a barrier in our own head.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so and that's something that I would love to work closely with more with you as our sessions progress. I want to support you in making sure that, whatever you pick that you do, and it may change, it may go from one end to the other, that we have those tools to be able to support yourself so that you're not having those negative thoughts towards yourself.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So, what classes are you currently taking classes right now for fashion design?
Yeah. I'm taking like two different classes for fashion design. It's like a sewing one and then like a drafting one. So it's like you create the patterns for specific clothing that you want to make.
Mhm. Now, when you think of like a good work-life balance, like what does that
Mhm.
look like to you?
Mhm.
Like, is that something
Um.
that's important to you?
Mhm. I want to be able to. I guess that for me, I want to be able to kind of take control over my schedule, but I still do want to have someone that I have to respond to because I know that with like my ADHD, sometimes if I don't have a due date, the due date keeps extending. I think a work life balance would be, I'm working, you know, 5 times a week. I'm okay with working an 8 hour job. I like to have that work life balance where at least I get the weekends for myself. Obviously, in a dream world, I would love to have a job that's I can travel with and stuff like that. But I just want to know that I have a job that I have to respond to, that I have a scheduled time that I have to respond to it because it gives me that structure of every day having to wake up. But I also wanted to make sure that it doesn't bleed into like my life, my afterlife and like my family time, my friend time, stuff like that.
Okay, so do you have any like obligations outside of outside of work or school, like other
hmm
than those responsibilities, like to family or to friends or to certain
hmm
things?
I mean, I don't know if the word would be obligation, but I guess you could say yes. Um Obviously I have like friends and family who are understanding, if I need to take more time for school and stuff like that. But I do want to make sure quality time for me is very important. So I do want to make sure I have some time, you know, every, let's say every 4 times of the week to at least spend some time with friends and family. For me, I'm a person that I really do need to have a social life because I do get a little depressed when I feel like I'm so stuck on like work, 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 or whatever, whether it's school or an actual job. I do get depressed if I don't socialize. So I think it's an obligation to myself for my mental health to at least have like once a week that I can hang out with friends or family or whoever it is. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. And um, so let's kind of di dig deep a little bit on some of your like strengths and skill sets that you have.
Hmm.
What are like some skill sets that you feel confident in, like you do,
Hmm.
or that you believe that you have?
Hmm. Um, I feel like I'm a person that I'm really good at learning. Like anything I set my mind to, I feel like I could do it, especially if it's creative. So like I feel like I'm very good at learning how to do anything I want to do. So I've always been like a very DIY person, so it's like if I want to learn how to cut my hair, I can watch a couple videos, learn it myself. If I want to like, make a cabinet, I can learn how to, do woodwork and stuff like that. So I think my skill set is that like anything I put my mind to, I can do it. The only thing I think I have a problem is sticking to something for too long is difficult for me. So it's sticking to it is the hard part. But I do think that a good thing that I have is that I am really good at learning different things, all the time.
Um, and I know that you mentioned like that you sew, like you're taking sewing classes, and
Hmm.
is there anything like uh that you do in that sense, like that are skills that we could put in? And I'm just asking this because it's good to know like what kind of skill sets you have so that when we may create a resume later
Hmm.
to have those to have
Hmm.
that down.
Okay. I mean, other than that, like I said, I've been doing like woodworking and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm a fast learner. I think that's like something that you could say,
Mm.
for any job. I feel like I'm very much a thinking out of the box person. So like, if there's ever a problem, I'm gonna find a solution for it.
Mhm.
Um, um, and I would say, I mean, that's what I can think of right now. But yeah, those are like two. I feel like I'm a solution based person.
Oh yeah, it sounds like you are. Those are really good strengths to have. So,
Hmm.
okay. And where do you see yourself in the next 5 years career-wise? Like,
Hmm.
closed your eyes and envisioned it. Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hmm. Um, I mean, I would really like to be, like I said, I would really like to have something that feels stable and something that feels like I feel passionate about like a job that I feel passionate to go into every day. I guess in 5 years, if I was like studying right now and thinking like, after graduating and stuff like that, I guess I would just like to be confident in the type of job that I would like. I like to have, like I said, work life balance. I like to be really passionate about what I do. I'd like to, um, I, I like something that I can, a job, I feel like I would like a job that I can do multiple things in, so meaning like there's, let's say if it's like a job where you can do paperwork but then you can do something creative, you can go outside and meet people and stuff like that, like I like it to every day to not be exactly the same. Apart from that, obviously I have like my life goals and stuff like that, but career is just something stable and something that I feel really passionate about.
And so we're kind of gonna jump into like what just so I get a better sense, so we can kind of guide you there together.
Mm-hmm.
What factors are the most important to you in the job? Like salary wise, like do you have a
Mm-hmm.
salary range that's important to you
Mm-hmm.
to have?
Mm-hmm. I honestly, I feel like I'm not that good at knowing like what kind of salary I want. I know obviously I want something that I want to be comfortable in life. You know, I don't need to be like, I'm not saying like obviously the more it pays, obviously that'd be great, but um I think it's just something that one goal of mine is to have a house in the future. So anything that can provide me, you know, some comfortability for that, you know. But I can't say I have like a specific number just because I feel like I'm not too great at knowing those type of things.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, I mean, it is California, so it's
Hmm.
a little pricey.
Hmm.
Living wise, living wages, does get
Hmm.
hard. So that I do encourage you to, that's something that we can look into because it is important to know, right?
Hmm.
Because if salary, from what you're telling me, it is you want a certain lifestyle. So knowing that a job will provide that certain lifestyle, can ultimately be very helpful later on because
Okay.
sometimes we'll pick a career and yes, while we're passionate about it, we may not like the fact that it's unlivable, right? The wages are
Hmm.
unlivable. And
Yeah.
um but I hear you, okay.
Yeah.
About helping others. Is that something that's like important to you
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
job?
Yeah, I do think that that's like something that I enjoy. Like I said, like when it comes to my retail jobs, I like when, you know, I get to, you know, someone's like, oh, I have a party, I need to look for this, and I help them find like a dress, and, you know, and they're like, they walk out happy. So I enjoy being able to like make someone's day, you know, or know that they felt satisfied by the end of like whatever, you know, thing that they were looking for. So I do think that's important to me.
And what kind of like work environment do you feel like you thrive in? Like, do you feel like you like to work independently in
Hmm.
groups?
Hmm.
Do you like to work, with structure or fast paced?
Hmm.
What do you
I
think
think
on the line?
uh I think I'm good with working either in a team or individually, but I prefer working individually just because I like to, like I said, I like to take charge of my schedule a little bit more. But I do like the idea of working, you know, in a structured job that like gives me a, like I said, an end goal, a deadline, or a specific project that I have to follow because I feel like it does help me stay more in line with what I want and not get so overwhelmed or lost. Fast pace, I feel like I like, it depends on the job, but sometimes I do like fast paced jobs because I feel like it helps me not get, you know, bored of a project or bored of whatever it is, you know, if it's too slow, then I feel like I move on sometimes. Or I get overwhelmed by like it not happening fast enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Oh. Now, for moving forward with our like sessions and whatnot, um, what would you like? How would you like me to support you during this, process? Is it just
Hmm.
trying to find what career is good for you or um like what are your goals in these sessions?
Yeah. I guess, yeah, it's more finding, I think I want to learn my work technique, like my, what kind of person I am when it comes to working, you know, learning things about my behavior that what I would work the best in. And then, yeah, finding what kind of job would be good for me, or figuring out if I was looking at fashion design or if I was looking at interior design or another job or whatever it was, that it's a job that matches my personality and my habits, where I guess like you could see that I could last in that job, or that job is good for the type of person that I am. That it's something that I can see myself being there for, 10 years and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, I learned a lot. Uh,
Hmm.
now, for I think what from everything that I gathered, I think what would be great is if there's a lot of assessments out there that kind of help guide us with knowing yourself a little bit more. So, like you said, you kind of want to learn your work technique. You kind of want to understand yourself a little bit more, and if you're picking the right job, so to speak, or the right career. So I'm gonna assign a assessment for you to
Hmm.
take. It's gonna be it's called MBTI. It's
Hmm.
Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. It's basically a personality test.
Okay.
That way we can go over it in our next session and kind of dig deep there, and maybe that'll give us an indication. You'll learn something about yourself,
Yeah.
and that gives us an indication of, where we can kind of guide you with
Hmm.
looking into a career and whatnot.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for the session today. And we'll talk soon.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you.
Bye.